All right, welcome back everyone. Let's look at the solutions to the now you try problems where we're finding x-intercepts by completing the square. So our first function for this set of problems is f of x equals negative 3x squared minus 6x plus 24. We set this equal to 0 to find the x-intercepts. 0 equals negative 3x squared minus 6x plus 24. And then we'll go ahead and subtract the 24 off of both sides to get it out of our way. So we have negative 24 equals negative 3x squared minus 6x. I'm then going to go ahead and factor the negative 3 off of the x squared. So we have minus 3, open parentheses, x squared, and then it'll be a plus 2x. When I divide negative 6 by negative 3, we get a positive 2. We then want to divide the negative 3 off of both sides. Divide both sides by negative 3 to clear that. We get 8 equals x squared plus 2x. All right, so I'm going to skip a line. And we want to say something equals, and our completed square is going to be an x plus, and it's half of 2. Goes in here, x plus 1 squared. When we do that, when we FOIL that out, that would give us an extra plus 1 that we didn't have before, so we need to add 1 to both sides to keep everything in balance. So we'll have 9 equals x plus 1 quantity squared. And then take the square root of both sides, not forgetting the plus or minus when we do so. So we get plus or minus 3 equals x plus 1. We can then break this into two equations, x plus 1 equals positive 3, or x plus 1 equals negative 3. Subtracting 1 from all of this, we'll get x equals 2, or x equals negative 4. So our x-intercepts are the points 2, 0, and negative 4, 0. Moving on to part B, we have g of x equals 2x squared minus 8x minus 24. We set the output to 0 so that we can find the x-intercepts. Sorry, I had a little formatting error that I wanted to fix. So 0 equals 2x squared minus 8x minus 24. I'm going to add the 24 to both sides to get it out of the way. So we have 24 equals 2x squared minus 8x. We can factor the 2 out of the right side, so I have 24 equals 2 parentheses x squared minus 4x, and we'll divide that 2 off of both sides here so that we get 12 equals x squared minus 4x. We then want to complete the square, so I'll give myself a little room here. Skip a line. We have something equals, parentheses, x minus 2 quantity squared, the minus 2 coming from half of minus 4. But when we FOIL this out, that would give us an extra plus 4 that we didn't have before, so I'll add that to both sides to get 16 equals x minus 2 squared. And then take the square root of both sides, not forgetting the plus or minus when we do so, to get plus or minus 4 equals x minus 2. Break this up into two separate equations. We get x minus 2 equals 4, or x minus 2 equals negative 4. We add 2 to both sides. We will then get x equals 6, or x equals negative 2. So our x-intercepts here are the points 6, 0, and negative 2, 0. All right, let's move on to the next set where we're going to stop getting our nice whole number answer. Just tedious, a little less simple. We have h of x equals 3x squared minus 12x plus 1. We set the output to 0. 0 equals 3x squared minus 12x plus 1. We can subtract the 1 over to the other side. So negative 1 equals 3x squared minus 12x. And then we'll factor the 3 off of the right side. So negative 1 equals 3 parentheses x squared minus 4x. And then we'll divide the 3 off of both sides. To get negative 1/3 equals x squared minus 4x. Now we'll get to our completing the square part. So I have negative 1/3. Oh, I'm sorry. Don't want to do that yet. We want to say equals parentheses x minus 2 quantity squared. The minus 2 coming from half of minus 4. When we FOIL this, that would add 4 to our previous line. So we've added 4. We need to do that to both sides. We have 4 minus 1/3 that we need to compute now. So that's going to be equal to 12/3. 4 equals 12 divided by 3. And then we take away the 1/3 to get 11/3. So we have 11/3 equals x minus 2 squared. Now we can take the square root of both sides. Don't forget the plus or minus. So we now have plus or minus the square root of 11 over 3 equals x minus 2. And then we'll add 2 to both sides here to isolate the x. So 2 plus or minus the square root of 11 over 3 equals x. Let's take a look at that square root of 11 over 3. Let's multiply it top and bottom by the square root of 3 to rationalize the denominator. So we have the square root of 33 over 3 here. So we have x equals either 2 plus the square root of 33 over 3, or x equals 2 minus the square root of 33 over 3. So our x-intercepts are the points 2 plus the square root of 33 over 3, 0, and 2 minus the square root of 33 over 3, 0. Nice job, everyone. Part D, we have the function j of x equals, set the output to 0. 0 equals negative 2x squared plus 4x plus 5. Subtract the 5 over to the other side to get negative 5 equals negative 2x squared plus 4x. We can go ahead and factor the negative 2 off of the right side. Minus 2 parentheses x squared minus 2x now inside the parentheses. And then divide both sides by negative 2 to get 5/2 equals x squared minus 2x. Now to complete the square on the right side, we'll skip a line and say that we've got something is going to equal x minus 1 quantity squared. But when we do so, FOILing out would give us an additional plus 1 that we need to add to both sides. So real quick, we need to compute 5/2 plus 1. This is equivalent to 5/2 plus 2/2. 2 over 2. So this equals 7 halves. So we've got 7 over 2 equals x minus 1 squared. And we can now take the square root of both sides, not forgetting the plus or minus. So I've got plus or minus the square root of 7 over 2 equals x minus 1. And while I'm thinking about it, let's take that square root of 7 over 2, multiply top and bottom by the square root of 2 in order to rationalize this to get the square root of 14 over 2. So when I come back to my equation and add 1 to both sides, I can write that as 1 plus or minus the square root of 14 over 2 equals x. So our x-intercepts are the points 1 plus the square root of 14 over 2, comma 0, and 1 minus the square root of 14 over 2, comma 0. Nice work, everyone. Moving on, we get part E. We've got 2x squared minus 6x minus 7. Set the output to 0. 0 equals 2x squared minus 6x minus 7. Add the 7 over to the other side to get it out of the way. And we have 7 equals 2x squared minus 6x. If I factor that 2 off the right side, I get 7 equals 2 parentheses x squared minus 3x. And then I'll divide the 2 off of both from the right to get 7 halves equals x squared minus 3x. Now to complete the square, I'll give myself a little room. And I'll say something equals parentheses x minus half of 3 is 3 halves. So x minus 3 halves. Quantity squared. When I FOIL this out, that would add a 9 over 4. 3 halves squared is 3 halves times 3 halves is 9 fourths. It needs to be added now to both sides to keep everything in balance. So we need to calculate 7 halves plus 9 fourths, which is going to give us 14 over 4 plus 9 fourths. And that's by multiplying the 7 halves top and bottom by 2 to get a common denominator. So this will give us 23 over 4. All right, so we've got 23 over 4 equals x minus 3 halves all squared. And we can take the square root of both sides. Not forgetting our plus or minus. So this is nice. We'll now have plus or minus the square root of 23 over 2, because I can take the square root of the 4 in the bottom there. And this equals x minus 3 halves. We'll then add the 3 halves to both sides to get 3 halves plus or minus the square root of 23 over 2 equals x. So our x-intercepts are the points 3 halves plus the square root of 23 over 2, comma 0, and 3 halves minus the square root of 23 over 2, comma 0. All right, great work. Just one more. Our last one, part F, we have the function L of x equals negative 2x squared plus 5x plus 4. We set the output to 0. 0 equals negative 2x squared plus 5x plus 4. Move the 4 to the left side, so we have negative 4 equals negative 2x squared plus 5x. And now we get to that part where we need to force factor that negative 2 out. So if I write negative 4 equals, and we're factoring out a negative 2 on the right, so we write negative 2, open parentheses, x squared, and if I factor a negative 2 from a 5, that's going to be a minus 5 halves. and then we still have the x that's coming down there. And we're just kind of double checking. -2 times that -5 halves will become a +5. The 2's would cancel there. So I'm just dividing that 5 by the -2 to get the -5 halves to force factor that. We'll then divide the -2 off so that we get 2 equals x squared minus 5 halves x. Then we'll skip a line here so that we can complete the square. We're going to have x minus half of 5 halves is 5 halves times 1/2 equals 5/4. So 5/4. So we'll have 5/4, x minus 5/4 squared, and this will force us to add a 25/16 to both sides. Okay, so I need to figure out what is 2 plus 25/16 if I want to keep going. This is a 2/1, so I'll multiply top and bottom by 16 to get 32/16 plus 25/16 equals 57/16. So we can put that back into the problem. 57/16 equals x minus 5/4 quantity squared. We'll now take the square root of both sides to get plus or minus the square root of 57/4 equals x minus 5/4. Add the 5/4 to both sides to isolate the x. And we'll have 5/4 plus or minus the square root of 57/4 equals x. So our x-intercepts are the points 5/4 plus the square root of 57/4, 0, and 5/4 minus the square root of 57/4, 0. Whew. All right. You guys did absolutely fantastic. Well done. I know that these get a little long and tedious, but you have done a great job just sticking through it, and I hope that you feel more confident with them as you've gone through all of this. We're going to call it a wrap on this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the